The coating durability test puts XS through a cycle of 10,000 strums. Through the lens of a microscope, it is clear that XS retains its composition better than other coated strings. Testing complete.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Keys for Premier Guitar. Today we're at Marathon Music Works in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm joined by the lovely gentlemen of Trivium. First up is Corey. Corey, how you doing?
Good.
Now, Corey, tell me about this one-off. You kind of get the cat out of the bag that this is a very special guitar. Tell me all about it.
Had this for, I think they made it like 2013, I guess. I think I remember on Mayhem tour.
Okay.
And I didn't even ask for this, but some guy from Jackson, it's like, I have some guitars for you. And he brought like one of the production USA models that they were making, which is one of the red models. And then he's like, oh, we have this blue one. And I was like, I like blue guitars, so I have it. So this is the only one that they did in this finish. And had it for years, and I played it a lot at the house. And a lot of the time, guitars that I just have sitting at the house that I just jam on. Like I have a bunch of guitars near my couch, so if I'm watching TV, I just start doodling on them. And then eventually, I get so used to playing them at home that I'm like, I never brought this on tour, so I might as well bring it out. So this is my Maiden 7 that I've been using on the last couple tours. And this one's cool because it has my, they haven't come out yet or anything, but I have my own signature Seymour Duncan blackouts in this one. So something we've been working on the last year.
That's exciting.
So this is the V2s, version 2 of the pickups, because we did one that I road tested on the Metal Tour of the Year earlier this year, and then over the summer made a couple tweaks. So this is the version 2 that we're rocking on tour right now. So.
Now, what should people know about these ones that are different than, like, you know, someone like myself or Perry? You know, the normal people can go out and buy a set of blackouts. How's this different? How are yours voiced?
I basically custom EQ'd them. I've been playing blackouts since like even before they came out. I got a pair like when they were production. Back in like 2005, I think it was when they did them. So I played the blackouts ever since, and just like for the kind of sound we're going for, the original blackouts kind of were a little more mid-scooped.
Okay.
Kind of a lot of low end, and so basically like you see the pedals and stuff I had for a while on tour. I was using like a 6-band EQ to kind of dial in some frequencies that the pickups didn't have, and then eventually started talking to them and just started incorporating my EQ settings from my 6-band EQ into the pickups, and now it's just my guitar straight into the head, so I don't need any other, I guess, effects on the EQ
compensate.
Or tone. Yeah. So it's like just kind of did my own little EQ to kind of adjust the pickups to so I don't have to have as much stuff in line as I used to.
Right on.
Which wasn't much in the first place. So.
and Floyd Rose, I assume.
Yep, Floyd Rose, and then. Typical metal fashion, just like this toggle switch and a volume knob, no tone, got rid of all the other stuff, so it's pretty, and the thing I like about them is like the unfinished necks are very nice, and so that's the main 7, and the one a lot of people are familiar with is the one that's the production model. This is the USA version, has the 6-string, custom blackouts in them, and all the same stuff, just the 6-string, different headstock, but
And I know that you guys came out with Dunlop signature strings, the band has.
Yes.
And what gauges are those? And then referencing your 7-string and your 6-string tunings.
I can't remember all the gauges, but it's like a custom set we've been using for years, but it's like 7 strings, like 10 to 63.
Okay.
And this is 10 to 52, but there's some different, like, because I guess like a normal pack, if you bought like a 10 to 52 pack, ours, like when we were doing them over the years, there's a couple gauges that are a little off from like a normal 10 to 52s, but I can't remember exactly what it is.
Oh, well, no, or we got a picture. We'll fill everyone in.
Yeah, so those strings we've been using forever, and that's basically it. And then basically every guitar just has like
a backup.
So it's like.
What are your tunings then?
This one is we originally started in drop D, and then About record 5, we went to half step down, so everything's like drop C sharp, and then 7 string is just like standard, like B flat.
Okay.
So, and then everything else is just, you know,
Backups.
yeah, backups until we we have a couple other tunings, but we don't really play them that much, so we don't like to bring out quite as much shit.
Alrighty. And an exciting development, kind of a regression, but not really, is the sense that you guys got away from the Kempers. I see there's one lurking in there, I'm sure, for safety and safety net
I
reasons.
don't think it's plugged in though.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like it's alive. But you guys are running tube amps again.
Yeah.
What was the decision there?
Well, we did 2020, we did our What the Dead Men Say record, or end of 2019, I could say. And we were in the studio and we had no amps, and it was kind of like a bummer. We had to like scramble around to find someone that had tube amps, because we always used, even when we were using like modelers and stuff, when we were on tour, we'd use those, just the simplicity of it. And then in the studio, we always like to use like real deal, like heads, cabs, and all that stuff. And after we finished the record, I was like, I'm not gonna be stuck in that situation, not have amps. So I went like crazy, scouring Reverb, buying all my favorite amps, everything we've used on all our past records, and stuff that I used to have that I really liked, and over the years either, you know, went missing or something like that. But I bought a ton of amps and just got really into just messing with gear again. So I like just got into
The old school approach?
pedals, cabs, you know, amps. Like I have like about 20 something tube heads at home. And then just like out of all the stuff, you know, EVH is something we really loved. And so we just
Land on the 5150 Stealths.
yeah, we used that on the newest record, and you know, I love all the EVH stuff. We just kind of went with the Stealths because we used them on the last record. But you know, I think, you know, you can't go wrong with any of the EVH heads. So,
Yeah.
I love the EL34 version, but the Stealth we've been rocking. It's been, you know, haven't had any problems with it at all. It sounds great all the time.
And those are 6L6s, right?
Yeah.
The Stealths, okay.
And then we just have on stage, we just have the EVH cabs as well, stock, kind of how they come. So
And what are you running for pedals? I know that each one of you guys have a tray over there. Which one are you using?
I'm this one. As you can see, this is where the 6-band EQ came in, but
Yep.
now it's all flat. But I just never took it out of the chain.
Okay.
But then it's just noise gate, which is, I'm using a decimator right now,
Need it.
and then that's basically what is in front of the amp. So basically, it's essentially just like my guitar noise gate, and then all the tones from the EVH.
Yep.
And then my trusty Eventide. Well, the Eventide right here, I bought this just to have one effect in it.
What was the effect?
It's a multi-pitch. It's from the old H3000
Oh,
units.
yeah.
And I have a couple of those old ones, that are rack units, but I don't bring them on tour because they're too fragile. I don't want to break them because they're like 20-something years old, I guess, or older. But I always use them in the studio, and that effect has been on like every record since like record 5. So it's like my kind of secret sauce for for leads and everything like that. So I use this for that effect, and then.
Is that really all you're using it for still?
Yeah.
Is that one effect?
Yeah.
It's an expensive effect. But
Yeah.
like you said, I guess the rack, it's cheaper.
Eventide needs to call me or something, but
Well, hopefully they'll hear from you right now.
yeah, it's great. It's when I use it live, it's very kind of subtle in the mix. Because if you crank it too high, it gets way too like, you know, 80s out.
Yeah.
But it's very subtle for like kind of like a chorusy effect, and it kind of widens everything. So if you're doing like single note melodies and stuff like that, it really kind of like just gives it a little extra something. Because I had it, we were doing the Maiden tour, I had it kind of cranked up a little bit louder, and I was in my in-ears, I'm like, this sounds fucking like some kind of 80s pop album. It was like very chorusy and shit. So I turned it down, but it mixes really well with this pedal I got called the Lonely Ghost.
Now what's that?
It is.
I'm unfamiliar.
It is a pedal. It's this guy in Kansas City who makes pedals by himself in his basement.
Jeez.
His name's Michael Klein. He doesn't have like a website or anything, but it is a delay, reverb, and a boost in one stomp box.
It's a one-stop shop.
Yeah, so it has like a little thing for a volume boost. So just one pedal.
Kind of for leads.
Yeah, so you can have, depending on what you want, you know, it's got mostly it's delay and then just like a hair reverb, just mostly for when we do something clean, just to have it there. But it's really cool. It has like the volume boost. It's just like a one button on the side of the pedal, so you can get like so when you go into a lead, you can crank it up a little bit. So it's like a 3-in-1, so it saves on space and cabling and all that stuff. So it's a really cool pedal, and yeah, it's like basically just like.
Did he give you like approach you with it, or like, hey, check that out?
No, actually, a buddy of mine actually had one, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, went and checked it out, and he's just like, he just has an Instagram page, and just DM him and buy it like through that, and it's just really incredible, like the delays, because before I started using pedals, I was using like a rack mount, like digital unit for like all the effects and stuff, and I was like, it's like, it doesn't really seem like at least for me when I was playing, I couldn't really hear any of it, so it wasn't really cutting through. And then I was just like, during a break between tours, I started messing around with like analog stomp box pedals, and just started collecting all sorts of different delay pedals, and just that one, just the delay sounded great, and just the fact that it had 3 things in one.
Yeah.
Don't have to like, because I think Matt, he kind of has the same setup as me with the effects, but he has like individual pedals for all of them. So this one just worked out really good. It's amazing quality, and it's so it's delay, reverb, and boost all in one tiny stomp box. So
some guy on Instagram.
yeah, Michael Klein. If you want to try to find him on Instagram yourself or DM me, I can send you his link. But he makes there's a bunch of other guys that play his stuff, and he makes like a bunch of different pedals besides the one I'm using. So there's like cool noise gates and some. I think he makes a chorus pedal. So he makes a lot of really cool stuff, and he's a super cool dude. Customizer, colors, whatever you want. So you get like a really cool, like customized, kind of like your own pedal.
Yeah.
So it's works out great. Been using it for this last couple, since we did the start of the Iron Maiden tours, when I started using it on tour, and it just sounds fantastic. So I'm super excited. So it's looks bigger. This big old case. There's not a ton of stuff in it. And the last thing is we're using the 2 notes.
Oh.
So we use the
load box.
Yeah, we use the
cab sims.
2 notes torpedo for the front of house. So our sound guy just we had a bunch of different IRs, and we just kind of went through them, and he just kind of made something that really worked for what he was looking for out front. And then so we hear that in the in-ears, and then we also have like live cabs for stage sound and everything like that. So none of that stuff's mic'd up. That's more just for feel and getting that metal going on stage. So,
well, cool.
Which
Corey,
we haven't had live cabs on stage for like 12 years. So it's
probably been like a welcome, reintroduction of the analog and kind of old school approach. I'm sure you guys are enjoying it.
It's a combo, with the tube heads and all the pedals, and then using like kind of having the best of both worlds with having like a direct signal, so it's really clean at front of house, and then you don't have to worry about like a mic falling over on a cab or someone bumping into something. So it makes it really kind of clean and easy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Corey, thank you so much for your time. We're going to talk to Matt, but before we let you go, I got to tell everyone out there to check out the 10th album that you guys put out last year. Some of the best playing I've ever heard you do, so congrats on that, man.
Yeah, check it out.
All right, we are with Matt now. Matt, how you doing?
Very good, how are you?
Very well. Exciting news, you not only have another collaboration with Epiphone, but now you're releasing 7-strings and left-handed models for all those lefties out there.
It's 8 SKUs, which when they first told me that, I was like, I'm incredibly honored, you all sure, and luckily they've been out of stock nonstop from just being sold out everywhere around the world.
That's awesome.
So it stinks for the people wanting to get it, but it's a good sign. So they were correct on releasing 8 SKUs.
Yeah.
So that's 4 right-handed, 4 left-handed, 6, 7 black, white, right, left.
Killer, man. Well, let's go through this one right here.
Yep. Yeah, so this one I slightly customized. So I've got my stage guitars, I custom put an Evertune in, which people can order my signature through Evertune directly, or they can have a local luthier install it if they buy my MKH and then want to get an Evertune afterwards. My stuff at home, my stuff I use for the dressing room, my stuff I use for home studio, I don't have Evertune. So it's really personal preference. My thing with them is you're locked to that tuning if you do it.
Yeah.
And we are locking ourselves to these tunings because this is, I've got 4 guitars for my touring rig. So my guitar, yes, it's incredible. It's based off the original Les Paul Custom my dad got me when I was about 11, 12 years old. So I was obviously very lucky.
It's a cool
11
story.
My kids are, when they hit 11, they're not getting a Les Paul Custom. they're gonna get something else. They're gonna get this.
Yeah. Which isn't bad.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate. 11 is when I started picking guitar, tried it for a pop punk band, didn't make it into the band. Then I got into metal, tried it for Trivium, made it in Trivium. First band, first job, still the same thing I've been doing for almost 23 years now, which is amazing. So I sent my Gibson Les Paul Custom, said, let's model this as much as possible. Like, I was like, I know it's apples to oranges a little bit with Gibson Epiphone, but make it play as close to this Gibson as humanly possible. Look, feel, smell, everything, sound within this budget, because I know what our fans can afford, and I always wanted to have a price point that makes sense for the metal and rock audience. Because that's what I would have been able to afford as a kid. You know, I see a lot of our fans are 12 to 16 to 18, and they gotta save up for their own stuff, get a summer job to get a guitar. So I wanted to make it affordable, make it incredible. And that was the original Black and the Snowfalls. We said we'd never do those again, so those were discontinued, completely sold out. The values are going up on the secondhand market, which is awesome. We said, let's figure out what this next range is. The next range is the MK Origins. The Origins, the idea was to go back to the look of the Les Pauls of when people first ever saw me. When I was 18 years old, the Pull Harder video playing the black and gold Les Paul, and the Gunshot videos. I was actually playing a Les Paul Supreme that was a white and gold, but I was like, for my OCD, let's make them all Les Paul customs.
Yeah.
I wanted to do the same, back to the OCD thing, the same hardware in both colors. So that's why it's black pickups, black knobs, gold hardware across both. It's not gold pickups on this, but it's black, so it's all similar. We did go for a weight relief. Last time I wanted as heavy as Les Paul Customs because I wanted it that heavy, but this time I said, let's go light, let's go ergonomic, let's try some different things. So I went back to this new heel. What's cool about the new heel, it's back to the way the classic Gibsons feel, which I do love a lot, with a slight modern touch. I feel like before I went super modern with the cutaway, which was cool, and so people prefer that with my old model versus the new model, but I prefer the classic feel. So it's a mix between classic and modern here. Went with my MKH Custom Fishmans. That's one of the big changes I want to do because the last one was a different pickup brand. But now I've got my own Matt Heafy Custom Fishmans, which are amazing. They've got push-pull, so you can actually make this thing sound like a single coil Strat, which is insane.
Which is super versatile.
Yes. So a pull up on the tone on either side goes from active to passive mode, which there'll be preferences for both. And then this is where you get the split coil. So it just turns into a true split coil sound, which I do use live a little bit more now, which is awesome. So if you do the math, there's tons of configurations. You could do split coil and humbucker, passive and active in the middle, etc.
The voicings, real quick, are they the same as like the other moderns in settings 1 and 2?
It's super close to the Fishman modern, the Fluences with that split coil.
Okay.
Because just like the Les Paul Custom, I felt like the Fishman Fluences are perfect. And I was like, I don't want to mess with them too much because I love the sound of where they're at. Let's just add something special. And that's the same thing I do with my guitar. Let's take something great and just add my slight customizations to it. The 7-string is a big switch up for Gibson and Epiphone because it's actually extended scale, which I didn't want to do last time as I opted to pick not to, but this time I went for 25 and a 0.5 inch scale for the 7 strings, 6 or 24 and 3/4 because I like the traditional feel. Didn't want to go to 24 frets because I feel like I never really used 24 frets. That's not really for me, so it's still 22, which I prefer. We've got locking Grover tuners, which don't necessarily mean it's not locking the pitch in, but it locks it so you don't have to keep winding the string.
What about on neck profile? I know that's something that's kind of unique to your custom model.
I swapped that around. It's as thin as possible. I said, let's make it as thin as humanly possible. So before I wanted like a baseball bat. So I have a tendency of being very juxtapositional with the way I like to do things. So it's kind of the opposite in some of those things. Last guitar was heavy as hell, feel like Les Paul Custom, traditional as hell. This time it's looks traditional, let's go very, very modern with the feel. Let's make it slightly weight relieved. Let's make the neck super fast and super thin, extended scale. The other stuff I've got on my rig, obviously the strap. I love the strap. People are like, why dual straps? Or people try to make fun of it, but it crushes. It's amazing. Like I've always felt, why do you want 100% of all the weight of a guitar on your left shoulder? I've noticed even like my left shoulder's grown weird. I'm sure all guitar players look at themselves in the mirror, their left shoulder's gonna be higher or lower than the right. Mine's higher, just overcompensating for the weight. This is kind of like a 70-30 or maybe 60-40 split depending on where you do it. It's the signature Matt Heafy Richter dual strap. I love it. Even though the guitar's lighter, I still would rather wear this than a singular strap because it feels better. My guitar does come with the diamond straps, the strap pegs, which are really cool. So you can put a strap on the guitar and start playing it right away. I still recommend putting locking tuners on there if you're gonna play live, always. So I use Dunlops for that. The Heafy Signature Dual Strap, the Heafy Groove Gear Fret Wrap. Corey actually introduced me to Fret Wraps. It just cleans up that little bit of extra noise if you're playing like breakdowns or something super heavy, so you're not hearing the strings ringing out here. So I've got Signature of that. I always say I'm kind of like the Pawn Store Kiss. Like there's so many things with my name on it, including this jacket and this hat. I don't know why. It's insert.
You're like a walking NASCAR.
Insert the Wayne's World scene with Gar saying they don't bow down to corporate sponsors. That's me. That's me. So my signature pickups, my signature guitar, signature strap, signature fret wraps, and then I also use the Jazz 3s. These are my signature Jazz 3s through Dunlop. It says Key and Ichi, that's my middle name, indefinable 1. I took the Max grip and applied it to the Jazz 3 because I felt like the grip makes it a lot better. We tried every thickness of the Jazz 3 because I've always loved the Jazz 3s, and we wound up somewhere between the original and the carbon fiber.
Okay.
And they have like every range. I originally got into these because of John Petrucci. I saw you played the classic red ones without the grip.
Yeah.
I added the grip, changed to gold, and it was in 2006 where Kirk Hammett was actually asking me what my pick, and I was like, oh, I got the idea from John Petrucci, but this is what I use. And now his signature pick is also the Jazz 3, which he
It's funny to me,
he
like
found that from me.
Shredders have gravitated to the smaller pick. Why do you think that you've enjoyed it?
I feel like it's more articulate. It's more precise for me. Although Corey would disagree. Like he plays the classics and he plays really well in it. I cannot play those classics like that. I feel like it really digs in a lot more staccato than that and than the standards. I also pick super hard, and I feel like this accentuates that. Like naturally, like it's just like pretty loud acoustic the way I pick, because I feel like that really plays through as a big part of the tone. People talk about gear so much, but a huge, probably one of the biggest things of tone is the hands of the player. If Corey and I just swapped everything, it would not sound like Corey, me playing through his rig, and he would not sound like me playing through my rig. And I think that's what's such an amazing thing about instruments. But that covers pretty much everything on this guitar. But yeah, so black, white, 6, 7, right, left. I did also swap these out for the classics. I prefer the knurled knobs. I feel like they're better. I would have a lot of times where I'm doing push-pulls with the classic knobs, the knob flies off and disappears forever. So I like these because they're pretty much implanted into the guitar. And that covers everything on the guitar. Yeah,
awesome.
So it's this guitar with all the signature Kichi stuff into MXR 6-band EQ with just a super, super slight, like you saw, like people see on the video, super slight amount of EQ curve. That goes into the KHDK, MKH, CKB overdrive pedal. That's Corey and I's custom one-off. We just did a limited run. We're not making them anymore in that variant. So EQ into the overdrive, into the ISP noise gate.
Okay.
That goes into the head. My effects loop for tour is a delay, a reverb, and a boost. At home, I've got the giant pedal board. I have the Miku pedal. I have the last Miku pedal that existed in North America that Korg sent me, which was super cool. I've got a whole bunch of stuff in there because I do a lot of soundtracking stuff for like video games and stuff, so I need weird, wonky sounds.
We saw one in the wild. Emmett Kelly did a rig rundown of this when he was out with Matt Sweeney, and yeah, that was the wildest pedal I think I've ever seen.
It's really silly. It's really silly. Yeah, so I've got a lot of really cool pedals at home, but on tour, it's nice and simple. It's just, as you see, the EQ into the overdrive, into the ISP, that's going to the front input, and then for the lead, it's the boost into the delay, into the reverb. And it's all, or actually maybe it's boost, reverb, delay, but it's all very subtle. It's just a little bit. The boost is just to climb the volume up a little bit, because I stick on the same channel on the 5153. For the 5153, I prefer the Stealth, I prefer 6L6s. I think Corey likes the 34s. I like the super tight feel of the 6L6. For amps, we've got 10 records out, only one of them wasn't done with some form of 5151, 23, 6505, 05 plus.
And even your Kempers were profiling those things too.
Yes. For fly dates, I believe we're gonna start using the quad Cortexes.
Oh, all right.
That's gonna model this, but we really love going back to live heads.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, the return.
Yeah, because we were one of the first bands to use Axe-Fx, one of the first bands to use Kempers, and both those things rule, and Kempers, I think, are some of the greatest modeling amps in the world. But for us, I noticed, hey, if we can shave off what feels like that bit of latency, because I feel like for the crowd, it's going to sound just as good.
Yeah.
Whether it's Kemper or it's EVH or it's the quad Cortex, I think the crowd's going to be happy. It's going to sound amazing. It's going directly to the PA. But I felt like there was micro milliseconds of latency when I play modeling anything, even like an amp suite on directly on a laptop or something. I feel like the response between here and the speaker or where I'm hearing the audio was in nanoseconds. I feel like having the live head in there brings that back. It brings it even tighter, even closer to that kind of to zero. We use live cabs on stage. That's just for us to feel, and the people in the front to hear. But we're running out from the Torpedo Captor X into the PA. Because, why not use the head with the PA as the cab, essentially? I feel like that's the best way to do it.
Before we let you go, Matt, I do have to give you a shout out because you did a great collaboration on the 2 songs that everyone's been listening to the last how many months because of Stranger Things. That video you did with obviously it was Master of Puppets style riffing with Running Up the Hill as the lyrics. I can't remember who the vocalist you collaborated with.
10-second songs, Anthony Vincent.
Yeah.
He's got one of the biggest and best YouTube channels out there.
Check that video out and also check him out on Twitch. He's great, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Congrats
very much.
again on the Epiphone.
Thank you.
Stay safe out there and rock hard.